Hey guys, in the previous video we saw how to add REST assured dependency, but before we can start writing tests we need to have a demo API application on which we can write API test. So the first thing that I want to do was to identify a good website for API practice. So what I did was I searched for best websites to practice API automation, and in fact I went to this blog post from Ultimate QA, which is basically Nikolai Advolotkin. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I think he creates awesome content. And when I went to his website, he mentioned, for example, some websites on doing web automation and for doing API automation. In the past, I was thinking to do this series using PetStore. So PetStore is from Swagger, which gives example of how you can use this to just try out some API automation. But I did not found good authentication examples, that I can use to showcase some real life complex API automation. So I thought I will use it, but I was not completely convinced if this will help us, also handle those API authentication scenarios. One of the examples that he mentions as first is using RESTful Booker. And what I did was I explored this API. And for example, if you click on this API documentation, what I found was it was just like a one-page, documentation where it explains how you can not only just use this API for testing, get, post, put, patch, and delete, but it also gives some good examples about using health checks, which is something which is often missing in other APIs. Health check is a very important concept, which once we will start covering in our framework, I will show you why you should always include health checks as a part of your API automated test. But it also gave some good examples about using authentication tokens. And since in any production grade API, you would need to deal with authentication tokens and also scoping. I thought RESTful Booker would be a good application under test to use for our demo purposes, and that's the reason I'm going to use RESTful Booker as our application under test for writing REST assured test.